A Fox News at Night exclusive now. A fresh round of high-level trade talks with China are taking place in Washington this week, as the deadline to impose new tariffs is also looming. Joining me now, White House Director of the Office of Trade and Manufacturing Policy, Peter Navarro. Great to have you with us tonight.
So pleased.
We'll talk about a couple big trade deals that you guys are hoping will come together, but we'll start with China there. There are some warnings from folks overseas saying essentially that they're not happy about this new blacklist, which I know is viewed as being separate from the trade talks, but essentially saying that they aren't really sure that something's going to get done this week. The negotiators may leave a day earlier than planned. What are your biggest concerns about getting something substantive done this week?
I think for everybody watching this show, double entendre there, because I'm talking about the bigger one. The 7 deadly sins are what this is all about. What President Trump is fighting for, standing up for China, and quickly it's the cyber intrusions into our business networks, the intellectual property theft, the forced technology transfer, the dumping of product, putting out jobs. It's the currency manipulation, the state-owned enterprises, and the thing that's really important to this president: made in China fentanyl and opioids that'll kill 100 people by the end of this day. 50,000 by the end of the year. Those are the 7 verticals that were in the original 150-page deal last May that the Chinese walked away from.
I mean, that is a laundry list. That is a heavy lift to get those things done. And with them warning, one headline, China tempering optimism for a trade deal, saying stay tuned. China pouring cold water on hopes for a trade deal, signaling it would retaliate against the U.S. threat to put Chinese tech companies on a blacklist. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Geng Shuang is quoted as saying, "We urge the U.S. to immediately correct its mistake."
Yeah. So here's the thing. Terminologically, this is not really a trade war. It's not even a trade deal. What it really is the Chinese engaging in these 7 deadly structural sins. And for this to have a good result for the people of America, which Donald Trump will insist on, really requires a fundamental restructuring of the Chinese economy in a way which would benefit the globe. I mean, it's really unfortunate that the Chinese backed away from that, because that deal would not just have been good for America, it would have been good for China, Europe, the rest of the world. So you're going to hear a lot of rhetoric from the Chinese. They enjoy doing that. I have 2 rules. One is the rule, Ambassador Lighthizer rule. It's that we negotiate behind closed doors. The second rule is if you hear anything that's not from named sources, it's probably fake news or propaganda.
I want to make sure I get to a couple more things with you. First of all, you had a rather spirited conversation on another network about a couple of things that this president has been too easy when it comes to Hong Kong. Do you think that this president, one, should be tougher on those issues, and 2, he's had a lot of backlash for publicly asking them to look into former Vice President Biden? How do you respond to this?
So let's take the Hong Kong issue first. I think the president's been perfect in his tone and manner on Hong Kong. He signaled in a very measured way to the Chinese that there needs to be a peaceful outcome. At the same time, Secretary Pompeo has been very eloquent, not just about Hong Kong, but about what he called the worst human rights abuse in a century in Xinjiang province against the ethnic minorities. There's 2 million people there in concentration camps. So I think this administration has been very, very strong with respect to that in the appropriate way.
Okay, the public calls to investigate Vice President Biden, should we be asking a communist nation to do that?
It's clear to me that there's some issues related to the Bidens. This is not really my lane. What I try to do is help the president create good jobs at good wages for the men and women who work with their hands. I'm proud of this president, 6 million jobs. 500,000 manufacturing jobs. When these kind of questions come up, here's my one piece of advice. It's listen to the signal, ignore the noise. Because there's something very good, I think very noble about what the president's doing. So I would urge people when they hear the words impeachment or these other kinds of things, listen to the signal, ignore the noise.
All right, let me ask you also about the trade deal that we are trying to get done with China. or excuse me, with Canada and with Mexico. One headline today from the Washington Examiner, because they're House Democrats, they're meeting with the president of Mexico trying to get this done. Headline says Democrats report little progress on USMCA following Mexico trip. We know that what they're pressing for are guarantees on labor laws and environmental protections. They've essentially signaled without that, they're not going to take this to a vote. They control the House floor. So how do you see that coming together?
So the fact of the matter is, the USMCA is far more important than the China deal. We have twice as much trade with Canada and Mexico than we do with China. But more importantly, Shannon, we have 5 times more exports to Canada and Mexico. So from the sheer arc of the trade, Canada, Mexico, USMCA is more important. And the vision of USMCA is to restore North America as the manufacturing hub of the world with the U.S. at the center. Nancy Pelosi has the ability to make that vision happen. She's got a choice. If she fails, it will be a signal failure both of the political process, it will be an economic catastrophe. So I'm looking at Capitol Hill right now. That's going to be her legacy one way or the other.
Well, it seems like there's plenty of bipartisan will to get that particular thing done, so we'll see.
And we don't have much time left. There's only a few days left in the legislative calendar. She needs to get off the dime.
All right. Peter Navarro, thanks for dropping in. Good to see you.
It's great to talk with you.